In this tutorial, we're adding on to the detective game by making a dialogue system. This system will basically just be for giving the player clues as to who is the criminal. So inside of the dialogue script, let's import random so we can choose between different pieces of dialogue. For starters, we're going to be using random.choice a lot because we're going to use different lists. So let's just say randc as a little shortcut of saying that. And randc will be a lambda, and the lambda will just be the exact same thing. We'll take in a list, and we will say random.choice of that list. So we'll just take in a list and return one random item from that list. Now let's make a list of first of all greetings. So greeting 1 will just be a very simple list. It'll just say hello and hey. Feel free to make any of these lists longer and shorter, however you want it. And greeting 2 will be something like how's the investigation? Or how are you? Basically just simple starter greeting questions. Then we will make a function called greet. And this will have nothing to do with clues. It'll just be for when you first talk to an NPC, it'll just say this. And so we'll return, it's gonna be a really simple F string, and it'll be greeting 1, and then greeting 2. Now maybe you want them to actually talk to the player directly, as in saying investigator or buddy or something like that, bruh, however you want to say it. So let's just make a player list 2, and let's say bro, investigator, detective, buddy, that thing, and let's just put that in here. And let's have a comma here, so it'll basically say, hello bro, how's the investigation? Something like that. Oh, and this is me from the future. Make sure to say randc on all of these. Now let's have another function here for the actual clues. I'm just going to group this all together because it's basically all for one thing. And now this separate thing will be clue, and this is going to be a little bit different. It'll still be a list, but it's going to be a list of functions. So this lambda is going to take in some information, which should be the clue, and it'll return something depending on what the information is. So we'll make it return a string because we want to make strings here. And we could just say, for example, info.name. And basically this info is just going to be who do they want you to think the killer is. And so we could have another one, and this could be info, and it could say info.possessions. But we don't want to have every single possession here, so let's make a random choice between all their possessions. So it'll just say one of the possessions. And so we could say, I think the killer has blah, blah, blah. So let's make a list of I thinks, I believe, that kind of thing. So hearsay. This will just be a simple hearsay list. I think, I would bet my life, I know, I've heard, and now we can put any of these hearsays into there. And all we'll do for that is we'll say random choice of hearsay. And I can just take this and copy it there. So I think that this is the person. So I've heard that blank did it. And then hearsay, random choice of hearsay. Oh, and make sure to put commas in between all of these because otherwise it's going to get really confused. It's going to think it's all one big lambda and it won't be good. So random hearsay that they owned this. So and yeah, this one is a little bit too long, but we can't really do anything about that because it's just one really big string. So I guess I could go like this, but then it would be bad. We could also make this 3 here, and now we can. It doesn't really matter that much, but we'll just do that just to be clean about it. And let's just do one more just to make sure we have a little bit of variety here. We can say some hearsay here, and let's have some senses. I think that I saw something weird, so sensed. So basically they just sensed that something is wrong. So it'll be a random.c of sense. And then finally, so I think I smelled something weird here. Something weird. And where is it? Well, it's going to be in the location. So let's make this another 3-liner here. Something weird in, and then it'll be like apartment 1. So info.location. And now let's just make a temporary info class that would fit all of these different parameters: name, possession, and location. So class info, define initialization, and all they need is name, possessions, location. Perfect. And now we can say the perpetrator is just this info thing here. And of course, classes in Python are meant to be capitalized, so let's make sure to do that. And let's say the perpetrator's name is Joe. He has a rock. That's maybe his murder weapon. And his location is apartment 203. So now we have this information about who the perpetrator is. We can actually use that in our clues. So let's say we have a new function here named clue, and it's going to take in the information, but it's also going to take in a lie. The lie is another piece of information that is actually totally wrong. This perpetrator might want to lie if he is questioned, and he'll say, oh yeah, this was probably someone else. So let's just make this really obvious and say that there's a information called lie, and everything will just be lie here. Lie, lie, and lie. And we're going to have a hated. And by default, hated will equal none. And self.hated equals hated. So our perpetrator is obviously going to hate this lie and want to spread the lie as much as possible in order to try to get lie in trouble. And lie will have nobody because they don't care about anything. And so we'll have our clue with info and lie. And by default, lie will equal nothing because maybe some people are actually really honest and they won't lie at all. But other people will definitely lie because they just think of hearsay. So if we go all the way back up here, we have all these clues and they're all functions. So if we want to use one of them, we'll say the function is equal to one of these clues. So random, and then clues. Let's call this clue list, just so we really understand that this is a list, this is not just this clue function here. So clue list, and now this is a function, so we need to call it. But what we want to do is we want to call it with this info or the lie. And we need to decide which one we're going to use, depending probably on luck or just full-on facts. For now, we'll just do 50-50, but later on, we'll make it so if it's the perpetrator, it's just 100% a lie, because why would the perpetrator ever say that it was them that killed someone? Then we'd know for sure something is up. So let's make this function say info here, and that will work, but it will never lie. So let's make a new thing. Let's call it provides. It'll just be whatever the NPC decides to provide for us. And we'll say that provides is equal to a random choice between a list of our info or the lie. And of course, we only want to do this if the lie is not equal to nothing. So if it's not equal to nothing, then provides could equal that. Otherwise, provides will just equal info. Perfect. And now instead of doing this function on the info, we can just say we'll do it on the provides. Now let's run clue, and let's run it from the perpetrator's perspective, and the lie will be the lie. And so it should randomly decide to give us either we know that this lie did it, or we know that I did it, which would be very weird, but let's just say they will. Oh, and of course we need to actually say that the clue equals this clue, and then we print the clue. Now let's press F5 again, and it says none. Now that's because we need to actually return this function here. And it's not going to return the function, it's going to return the string that the function returns. So now let's press F5. I know that lie did it. So the perpetrator is lying and they're being really obvious about it. Let's try that again. So that's random choice out of the lie, which is E. And that's a problem here. We just need to make sure that we're passing in a list of possessions, not just one object. So now it's going to return the full thing. I know that perpetrator had lie. Boom. So I know that the perpetrator had, and it's the lie, which is this right here. Now let's just go back up here and put these all in one line because we don't want to have weird lines like this. It will be harder to read the code, but it is sort of necessary. Unless you want to say a slash here and then moving along, and then it'll pretend as if it's just one line. So it's a little bit easier to read, but there's no big point in doing it. But yeah, this is basically a very simple dialogue system that we can use in order to bring clues to our players. Thanks for watching.